So we had a very volatile week, especially dealing with the dollar. When we look at FOMC, that was Wednesday. The FOMC, when they raised the rates as expected, this was the pump that we got with FOMC. All right, then NFP just happened today, this morning, and we see the dollar actually sold off. All right, now at the recording of this, the market, no, the market is already closed, but we see here that the dollar index on a daily right here, we got a bearish engulfing. All right. So we got this bearish engulfing. So this is a sign that going into next week, it's likely price is still going to set up to be bearish. All right. But if we look at this from a daily perspective, we're still in this uptrend on a daily. So this is likely just a corrective bearish wave before price potentially continues to pump. All right. So, but by with that bearish engulfing, to start next week, this could pull back some, but I'm still expecting the dollar to give more move to the downside. All right. So looking at all USD, all right, again with FOMC, we had that sell off. All right. This was the move that we got with FOMC. This price wick right here, and then price had this sell off to the downside. All right. We found some support right here, pretty much at this level of support. We found support. NFP came in, the dollar became bearish, and then we see the majors pump against the weakness of the dollar. All right, so now if we look at this on the daily, right here, we look at this on the daily, price actually formed this bullish engulfing right here on the daily. All right, so we got a bullish engulfing here. This daily candle is engulfing the last two previous daily candles. All right, so with that, this is showing a sign that the buyers now came in, took control. So going into next week, we can expect another move to the upside to come in, likely to come in on AU. All right. But after this bullish engulfing, early next week, we'll probably see some type of pullback. But on the pullback, price could set up for another wave up back into this level of structure. All right. So that's what I would look for on AU. You could work your way down to the smaller time frame. On this corrective, if price want to correct some on that correction, catch the potential wave up. EU, same thing with the weakness of the dollar that came in. We see here on the daily, this sell off was with the strength with the raise of the rates. All right, but now with NFP, price just pumped. All right, with the weakness of the dollar. So we got a bullish engulfing similar that I just showed on AU, engulfing prior the two previous daily candles. So that's a sign that the buyers are in control, at least short term. And based off the daily, we see here on the daily and even here on the weekly, we got the strong wick rejection. So it's likely that we see EU continue to the upside. All right. So early next week, we probably get a correction of this bullish engulfing to potentially set up for the potential continuation to the upside. All right. So really, I would like to see how the daily candle close on Monday. See if that's a corrective candle close to set up for the potential continuation up going into Tuesday, Tuesday, London. And GU was a signal that was given out. Now we could see with FOMC, we had this big, excuse me, this big sell-off like this wick rejection. The price had this big impulsive move to the downside. But again, with the weakness of the dollar, price now found some support. We had a bounce, right? Roughly around this level of support. We had a bounce from that level. Now, if we look at this overall, uh, we see that price did initially give an impulse break of this trend line as well, breaking structure. This could still possibly be setting up for just a deeper correction before price continue to the downside. But with the dollar still weak, I will be careful, looking to sell this, but it is pulling back around the area that I would look for a potential continuation. If price does start to show some type of, bearish rejection from this level, you could look to catch that continuation to the downside. Because judging based off the weekly, we still somewhat got, somewhat of a engulfing on the weekly, but price still could possibly pull back a little deeper. All right. So I do believe that this sell-off on the dollar is corrective before it continues with possibly more pump. So this move right here could be setting up for probably just a deeper pullback before price continues. So we'll see how this develop going into the week. I'm interested to see how price is going to react right here. Now, if we break above here, then it's likely it's setting up for a deeper pull, a deeper correction up. All right, before any more sells to the downside. Possibly a move back towards 1.15 if it doesn't reject from here. All right, so with that, excuse me, with that weakness of the dollar, USD CHF set up in this supply zone. So if we look at this from a level of supply, all right, it's been playing around this level. This is the same level where price had a big sell-off in the past. All right, came here again, sold off again, bounced at this level of structure. All right, came back to this level again, and now it's showing bearish rejection again. So if we're going based off the daily that just happened with the weakness of the dollar, we got a bearish engulfing on the dollar index. We got a bearish engulfing here on the daily on USD CHF. All right, so this is going in line with the dollar. So I will look for this to potentially set up for the continuation down. All right, so with that bearish engulfing, that's showing that the buyers came in to control. Over here, I'm on a daily. This was a shooting star, like this type of shooting star rejection right here on the daily. Some will call it a kangaroo tail. Price came back and retested that, but you see it still stayed below that wick. All right, which is a good sign. So this could be a double top setting up for a continuation down. So early in the week, I will look for either, let me adjust this real quick. So I would look for either like a pullback, some type of pullback first, and then look to catch that continuation to the downside. All right, or more of a breakdown, and then catch the next corrective opportunity. But overall, I will look for price to set up for a continuation to the downside. Now, if it pulls back first, like I said, I would like to see how the daily candle closed on Monday, but I would like to see it correct some of this bearish engulfing and then set up for that wave down. All right, so really my first target will be around this support structure, this higher low support structure. All right, now price comes down here and breaks below that. That's a sign that we're going even lower. You can even look, if it breaks that, you can look for that to possibly retest. But overall, a break of this structure will be a sign that we're likely to go even lower. And then you can look back down towards these levels. All right, so a lot of that do depend on what the dollar does too. But I will be watching this going into next week. USD CAD, I've been waiting for USD CAD to set up for this sell. So playing around this level, but you see it's setting up now and it's going in line with oil. If I look at turn to US oil real quick, if you follow the Instagram, FX Wave on Instagram, you'll see I actually did a reel covering this setup on oil, and it did exactly what I anticipated. It came back for the retest, and you see it's continuing this pump. All right, so the pump of oil correlates with the Canadian dollar. So normally when you see oil, US oil pumping, you're going to be seeing USD CAD setting up for that sell. All right, because if USD CAD is selling off, that's strong Canadian dollar, and that's also going to align with the strength of oil. So keep that in mind. US oil and USD CAD, the pair trades opposite of each other. All right, you'll usually see that. So now, if we look at this USD CAD from a weekly perspective, we can see that price came to this level of structure in the past over there. You always look left to go right, form this bearish engulfing right here. All right, initially right here, this sign of the bearish engulfing on the weekly was a sign that it was going to set up for a bigger move down. Now I pulled back some first, sold off, had a deeper pullback pump with the different news events. But now we can see how this weekly candle is closing, nice shooting star rejection. And looking to the left, it's closing below this level of supply. All right, so that's a good sign that we're likely to continue further to the downside. Now, if we break it down even more, we see here on the daily, on this pullback, on the daily price form, this bearish engulfing. All right, so that's a sign that the sellers are in control. Now, if we look at this structural level right here, price is now breaking, it broke this level of structure, this level of structure support. So going into next week, I will be looking for price to continue down. Now, it initially broke and then retested before it ended the week, and you see it continue down. So I want to see if this either wants to do one or two things. Overall, I will look for the sell on this, but I want to see if this either want to pull back a little deeper first before it continues down, or you see it already kind of broken, slightly retested. Now, if this just continues down from here, I would look to, for the next potential corrective move to catch the next wave down. All right, but overall, going into next week, I am expecting USD CAD to sell off more. And looking at this based off the daily and the weekly, it's different levels that you could look for this potentially to hit. Even somewhere around here can be considered a level or a target. All right, it's all based off of structure. So pushing into here, anywhere between 1.34 to 1.33, really. Anywhere within there will be a nice level to look to. All right, just based off of structure. Did you miss gold? Yeah, I'll check out gold. I didn't look at gold yet, so let's look at gold now. All right, so with gold, we see we had a strong pump, and this went in line with this gold went in line with the strength of the dollar. I mean, the weakness of the dollar to end the week. So we found support here, pretty much formed like a triple bottom, big pump on gold. All right, so that's showing going into the next week is likely still going to be bullish. You see even here on the weekly, strong bullish engulfing on the weekly. All right, so really for gold, I would need to see some type of pullback, a decent enough pullback, to look for this opportunity. All right, so I would probably look like somewhere on the 1 hour, maybe somewhere within here. I would look possibly a retest within there. Let me see. Yeah, this will probably be like my first area of structure I would look for, some type of retest, look for prices set up. All right, if not there, somewhere within here. All right, if it doesn't want to hold here, I'll look for this area of value. But overall, I would look for continued buys on gold. All right. This was a strong pump right here. Even look at this on a 4 hour, just like straight bulls. So I would measure this out too. So this rose over 640 pips, about 640 pips. All right. So really seeing some type of correction of that, maybe 50%. All right. So really, ideally, I would like to see a nice 50% to 61.8% pullback of this. All right. But even if price just comes and lines up with like this area of structure that I drew in, it's pretty much lining up with a 38.2. So if it comes down here, find some type of support, that could be a potential opportunity. But if it want to come in a little deeper down towards here, that's even more ideal. Pull back about 50%. And that's basically lining up, with the next area of value that I mentioned, like somewhere within here. With the next area of value. Something like along those lines. So we'll see going into next week. Early on, we'll probably get those corrections. So we'll just have to be patient, let price come to us. GJ. So GJ had a strong sell-off this week too. But now price came down to this level of structure. We can see price is now finding support roughly around 165, which is a psychological level. a strong level of structure for GJ. So it's finding the support now to end the week. You see, we had this move away, nice support. So really going into the next week, I would look for another continued buy. But to order to catch this, I would like to see some type of pullback or retest of structure. All right, so I would look for something like this. If price comes down on this type of retest of structure, then I would look to catch that. All right, so something like this comes down for the retest, you know, and then look to catch this continuation to the upside. All right, look to catch the continuation up. DJ also found a strong level of support at this. If we look to the left, you know, this is a major level of supply. So if we see where price found support right here, it rejected, had a strong rejection of resistance right here. This is a previous level of resistance. So it came down and found support right here. All right, bullish engulfing there on the daily. All right. So I would expect this to continue to the upside. You know, you could wait for some type of, in this scenario, you know, it had a strong pump to end the week. So, you know, would like to see an ideal pullback to catch it. Because just this move right here, we moved over about 180 pips. All right. So I would need to see a pullback of that. All right. So would like to see some type of pullback, you know, for price to set up continuation. All right. Sometimes I like to measure out the bullet, like the engulfing candles. So this was in this scenario, this was a bullish engulfing. So normally with a bullish engulfing, especially like on a daily, I like to see like a 50% pullback of that at least. You know, so if I measure out this candle, I like to see an ideal pullback of those engulfing candles on the daily. So the price pulls back 50%, that would be nice, or somewhere down towards 145, between 50% and 61.8, you know, setting up for that potential continuation. All right, so something along these lines. Yeah, so usually in this scenario, I would expect price to stay above this engulfing candle. All right. So if let's say it pulled back 50% or even 61.8, and I enter around there, you know, my stop loss would be like right under this bullish engulfing. And then I look to my take profits to the upside. So you would drop the fib on the daily candle and look on the lower time frame to see where it will pull back. Correct. In this scenario, you know, because I'm looking for the correction. So I draw it from the low of the candle, the fib from the low of the candle to the high of it, including the wick. All right. And that's just measuring out a fib in general. You know, if I'm measuring out a fib, like let's say this is in an uptrend. So let's say I measured this move from this low, swing low, to this swing high right here. Price pulled back right here. It pulled back right here almost about 50%. Then it pumped, continued up. All right. Now, if I wanted to measure the next wave, from this higher low, from this low to this extension up. So you can see initially price pump, came down 61.8 right here, rejected, bounced. Now we came back again, so roughly around 50% to almost 61.8 again. That's where this bullish engulfing is happening. All right, so after an impulsive move like this, anywhere between 50% and 61.8 are like strong areas, you know, after that price pulls back or corrects before it continues. All right. So after a bullish engulfing on the daily, that gives me strong confirmation for continued buyers. If I see price pull back anywhere between 50 to 61.8, that's even better. That's a stronger, that's what I like to see. You know what I mean? So instead, that'll still give room, make the risk to reward worth it. And then you just can look to catch the next wave. All right. Any other questions? Pretty much it that's on my watch list for right now. Going into next week. So we just got to be patient. You know, we had a real volatile week. Um, a lot of great moves happened with FOMC, but then this is one of the rare times that, you know, NFP. This is one of the more volatile NFPs in a while, but FOMC and NFP is not always the same week. So this time, FOMC, you know, you got FOMC come in with the strength on the dollar, and then NFP corrected it with some weakness. So now going into next week, it's clear where the direction is on a lot of these pairs. So now we just got to be patient, let the corrections and pullbacks come to us, and we just execute. All right. So if there's no more questions, I'm gonna go on and wrap it up. Any other questions or any other pairs anybody want me to look at? Yeah, no problem. All right, I hope that helped, and I'll keep y'all up to date in the Discord. And I'll see you all on the next session.